What's up, fight fans? We are back at it with another edition here at Round One Sports TV. I am your host, Edwin. And where do all fights start? Round one. So we got an amazing show for you here. We got a lot to talk about, a lot to break down. We have a lot of call outs. Nick Ball versus TJ Dohaney at 126. We're gonna talk about that. MJ Akhmadalev making a move with his promotional company, calling out Naoya in a way. We're gonna talk about all that and more. So stick around. If you like the videos, give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and like always, we're on to the next one. Let's go. What's up, Carlos? How you doing in the building? What's up, fam? Salute. So, we got a lot to uncover here. You know what I'm saying? And we got a lot to talk about. Carlos, I tell you, man, speaking of Puerto Rico there, and Subriel Matias is trying to make a quick turnaround. Can't wait to see how this fares out. And we have a new IBF at the 140-pound weight division in Richard Hitchison. And will he entertain a fight with Subriel? Richard Hitchison is already calling everybody else out but Subriel. For as much as they want to deny the man, he's still the boogeyman of the 140-pound weight division. Once again, he's a big risk fight, and now that he doesn't have the belt, low reward type thing. But he's soon going to make his way back up there, and I know he will. And there's a lot of Puerto Rican fighters right now really starting to state their claim in the sport of boxing. I have my eye on quite a few gentlemen. I should make a video about that. Talk about some of the Latin fighters that are also coming up. If you would like me to make a video about that, drop it in the comment section. Let me know, and we can break down some of our Puerto Rican fighters that are coming up nowadays and give them a little bit of a shout out, a little bit of love there. I think it's due. It's just due. So, let's talk about this. What do you guys think about TJ Dohaney's weak attempt to try to entice Naoya Inoue to fight him at 126? Nick Ball is saying, in other words, he wants to fight a guy that he'll have an equal, a common opponent versus Naoya Inoue. And I guess he believes that, he'll use that as a measuring stick. That you see, you gotta take this into consideration. Naoya Inoue was the only man to knock him out, TJ Dohaney. Going into the fight with Naoya Inoue, he was too old. But now if he goes into a Nick Ball fight, oh, he's a worthy opponent. A lot of people are giving Nick Ball shit about this because there was way better other opponents perhaps he could have fought. You know, there was talks about, this fight not being for Nick Ball the best opponent. When you think about opponents like he could have tried to fight Rafael Espinoza in the unification at 126 for the WBO World Championship. That would have been a unification fight. He had that. He also had Angelo Leo. He could have fought Angelo Leo. He could have fought Ray Vargas. He could have fought Bruce Carrington. He could have fought Artebeck. He could have fought Edwards. Yeah, just those guys right there alone were way better opponents than TJ Dohaney, a lot of people felt, including myself. But this is the kind of fight that Nick Ball is going to put himself in to get another title defense. And if he can stop TJ Dohaney, in his mind, he believes that he can secure a fight with Naoya Inoue. Naoya Inoue, I'm not sure how he sees this in Nick Ball, what kind of attempt this was to fight a guy that he just beat to try to beat him better. Going into the fight with Nick Ball, though, TJ Dohaney would be going into that fight, 38 years old? He would be 38. So that's almost 2 years older than Naoya Inoue. I know he was deep into 36, but still. Was he 36 or 37 at the time? He was 36. TJ Dohaney when he fought Naoya Inoue. I believe he was 36. But I know by the time he fights Nick Ball, he'll be 38. So is this a worthy opponent for Nick Ball at 126? Bringing him up there. TJ Dohaney, everybody called him old, but apparently he's still fighting. And he's still fighting in world championship fights. No matter what you could say about the guy, apparently his last fight was for 4 belts and he lost. He's about to fight Nick Ball for another belt. That's what kind of fighter Naoya Inoue is fighting. And the guy that Naoya Inoue is fighting right now, Sam Goodman, fought TJ Dohaney and went 12 rounds with him, couldn't finish him. So that kind of speaks to the pedigree of TJ Dohaney. Whether these guys want to try to take him lightly, he was a former world champion, worthy enough opponent for these guys to fight. Let's see what happens. Fuck around, TJ Dohaney knocks out Nick Ball at 126 pounds and becomes and the new. Right? Which is crazy. Call you back, brother. I'm on a live. So, calls me about fantasy football. My brother. So yeah, imagine he knocks out Nick Ball, man, and becomes and the new, you know, and I think that damn, my brother got me all messed up here now. But anyway, so yeah, what if he becomes the new at 126? What happens then? Does Inoue fight him again at 126? That would be a fight I would jump all over if I was Naoya Inoue. I would say, fuck it. I would acclimate to the division using him. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I would do. I would shoot to the 126. If TJ Dohaney was able to pull that kind of upset, oh my God. And then he would become like the only second man to fight Naoya Inoue twice. No one has ever fought Naoya Inoue twice because there was no need for it. There was no need to see that fight again. Like he makes sure that he puts a stamp on the fight. Done deal. I definitively whooped his ass, knocked him out. No ifs, ands, or buts. The only fighter that Naoya Inoue fought again that was worthy was Donito Donaire, the Hall of Famer, the Flash, the one and only. Now that was a worthy opponent. Although Naoya Inoue made it look a little bit more easier in the second fight, and it's true, the Flash took a lot more risk a lot earlier. He tried to get to him real fast. It was like the Flash was anxious to try to hit him with that big shot that he had fractured his orbital bone in the first fight, and he was trying to get to Naoya Inoue a little bit too. He was rushing a little bit too much, and Naoya Inoue got to the target first. He's a big puncher, and he was able to finish the Flash. But he was the only man to rematch Naoya Inoue. And it wasn't like a rematch where the type of rematch where that you fight the guy and then you got to shoot it right back, a rematch. It wasn't that kind of rematch. See, Naoya Inoue beat him in the World Series of Boxing and kept it moving. Nonito Donaire was such a good fighter, and he is who he is. And a lot of people said, oh, he was 36. No, he looked great. He looked amazing against Naoya Inoue, if you ask me, right? And he was so good, in fact, that he went on to beat an undefeated French champion for the WBC World Championship at 118 pounds. He got that belt, got himself in position for something that the monster wanted. So the monster fought him again in a rematch for the WBC World Championship, one of the belts that he needed for all four. That's what kind of fighter Nonito Donaire is. He's a fucking warrior, bro. That man was like, I'm not done. I'm not finished. And I wasn't satisfied with the first fight. And he knew the only way he would ever share the square circle with that man again if he got something he wanted. And he did exactly that. So hats off to Nonito Donaire for proving all the doubt about, oh, he was over the hill. He was that. Really, he was over the hill. He was good enough to knock out an undefeated young champion. He put him out, took that belt and was like, I want another shot at you. Naoya Inoue, and he got another shot and he came up short that night. But it goes to show what kind of fighter he is. Now, the move with Nick Ball versus TJ Dohaney, look, I might not like that fight. I feel like Nick Ball should fight someone else, but Espinoza is not going to be ready coming off of this fight with Robersi. And upon watching that fight again, Espinoza is a dirty fighter in my eyes. He's a dirty fighter. I went back, watched that fight real closely, and boy, he threw a combination with his elbows. That's not mistakes. I can see if you throw a punch and you were trying to frame off and you bumped his face. He legitimately threw a punch, missed the punch, and swung with his elbows, then came with this elbow, then came up with this elbow. He legitimately threw a three-piece elbow combination in the fight. He's a dirty fighter, and he did hit Robersi with an elbow straight to the eye, where I saw that shot right there was the shot that probably fractured his orbital bone. Robersi was fighting him and the fucking referee for not doing his job. He probably called it quits and decided to, and it gave him a bad look because I even criticized him. Robersi, I apologize for calling you a quitter. I didn't see it. Brother, I didn't see it. Maybe I was caught up too much in the fight, and if you go back to my live, it really caught me off guard because I think I was talking, then I turned around and was like, the fight's over, and I really didn't see. So you can see how I saw it. I was missing something. So Robersi, I apologize for ever calling you a quitter, okay? Espinoza, the fighter I believed he was, that he was getting better, that maybe in the first fight there was a couple elbows and you were complaining. No. Legitimately, that man was tagging you with elbows. Espinoza, you're a dirty fucking fighter, bro. For all the attributes and the size that you got, there's no need for you to do that. Fight him on the up and up. What, your punches weren't hurting him? You had to smash his face with an elbow, then hit him with a straight big shot. I didn't like that. They should look into that fight. If any fight I want to see a fight get overturned, probably would have been that fight. There's enough evidence, I feel, in that fight to bring that fight to court and try to get that fight overturned. Listen, if you guys don't believe me, go watch it. He hit him with over 5 elbows in the face in that fight, bro. And he missed like 5 of them. I'm not even counting the ones he missed. Like once you start to it's like buying a new car, right? Before you buy that new car, you never see that car on the highway. All of a sudden, you buy that car, and every time you're driving down the street, the same color car comes by. Hey, how you doing? You guys wave to each other. Now you notice that card more than ever, right? Until I started getting it pointed out to, like, wait a minute, that I really started to pay attention when I started what I was like, this motherfucker is dirty. Espinoza is a dirty fighter, man. I was like, shit. I know if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying to win, but damn. Hey, yo, and what made it so bad was he would throw the elbow when the referee was circling around to his side. He would throw with this hand. When the referee was this side and he was circling back, he would throw with this hand. Mysteriously. It was the right. It wasn't like he was doing it and then just the punch was grazing by and then it hit his face. No, he legitimately missed the punch and then came over and swung the elbow. You would have to swing your arm in order for that motion to continue. Because according to a boxer, the punch is over with. You're trained to throw it and bring it back. Where are you trained to throw the punch and then extend your elbow? You're doing that on purpose. Nah. Yeah, I apologize, Roberti, man. Yeah, for ever calling you a quitter. Um, you gotta admit in the moment it looked bad, and everybody started saying it, and I kind of went along with it. I saw the vast majority of the people saying, nah, he quit, he did this, he did that. And I was like, oh yeah, well then I guess that's what it was, right? And man, at the moment I didn't have the ability to rewind it, you know, and I just kept going on with the next fight because the next fight was gonna be, the main event. It was gonna be Navarrete versus Oscar Valdez, and I couldn't start rewinding stuff or none of that. I had to continue with the show, and I did. But I just wanted to make sure that I cleared that up, and I forgot to say that yesterday, or I think it was the day before too, when I actually found this out. I've been wanting to say something about it, and I've been going down this Naoya Inoue path, defending some of our fighters and defending what the truth is about some of these fighters. And because a lot of these guys' job is to take you away from watching the other guy to watch their fighter. It's a dirty business, and everybody's going to take shots from you from different directions you probably didn't even expect. Naoya Inoue is getting called out from by so many weight division. It's not even funny. How many men have we heard up to present day already got Naoya Inoue's name in their mouth? But he's not the shit. He's not who he is. But everybody and their mama all of a sudden wants to fight him. But he's not him. Really. Really. He has the most right now, once again, in this beloved sport of ours of boxing. It is so hard to unify all four belts. It's even harder to keep them. Not so long ago, they were just two men sharing that title, prestigious title of being undisputed world champion, Usyk and Inoue. How long did Usyk stay undisputed for? Shit, Dubois already on a title defense. Naoya Inoue is truly holding on to his belts like no other. And he's doing it the legit way. He's accepting all challenges and he's welcoming the smoke. Come with it. And for those in his division that been talking shit about him, just remember, one day you're going to have to answer to him. One day you're going to be standing right across from him. And believe me, he's going to remember all that shit you said. All that. A lot of fighters try different approaches to intimidate Naoya Inoue. Do you guys remember when he went up in the World Series of Boxing in his second match in the World Series of Boxing? He came into the matchup against Emmanuel Rodriguez. Now, Emmanuel Rodriguez's coach They got like this New York, Puerto Rican intimidating tactics. They from the hood. They done did some shit, seen some shit. You know what I'm saying? And they, so there was a little situation where um Emmanuel Rodriguez's coach had tried to push Naoya Inoue's coach. By the way, Naoya Inoue's coach is his father, Shingo. And Shingo was very respectable. He put his hands up like this. No, yo, I don't know what's going on. They didn't want him to film their fighter fighting. Ironically, the day before that, or earlier in that day, I believe it was, they allowed Emmanuel's team to come in and film Naoya Inoue, and they didn't say anything. They did the same thing they were doing. When they tried to do it, he got in his face about it. So they was trying that real, like, intimidating tactic on Naoya Inoue's team. Man, did he pay for it. Stephen Kubo Fulton and made the mistake of traveling all the way out to Japan, getting a king's welcome. I mean, they practically rolled out the red carpet for that man. Everywhere him and his team went in Japan leading into the fight, doors were open, straight up bowing to him, showing Stephen Kubo Fulton the much respect. On the way to the press conference, red carpet, they might as well been throwing fucking rose petals down on the ground for him and his team the entire time. They didn't pay for anything there. They ate for free, everything. He gets up on the press conference and goes, "Hey, by the way, your hero is a fucking cheater." Yeah, he wraps his hands like this and what? Yo, how dare you? Man, if you had a problem with them hand wraps, you could have probably said that behind the scenes and worked it out with his coach. He went there with a letter, remember? He had a written letter, what he was going to say. He took time to write that letter. He put effort into what he was going to say. Man, the disrespect. Naoya Inoue went out there and punished that man. When the Japanese people, their tradition, not every man adapts this and not every man embrace this in Japan, but for the ones that do, that choose to live a samurai's way of life and thinking. I know we're not living in the ancient times and they're not walking around with two swords, but there's still discipline in their culture and that the way that they honor things. They have a lot of honor and respect, and Naoya Inoue seems to be on the up and up in competing. Have honor and respect for me as a fighter and my country. What you just accused me of in front of all of Japan are actually the rules in Japan. You have a lot of confused Japanese reporters, fighters, fans. They're like, what do you mean Naoya Inoue is a cheater? What is he doing that he's accusing him of cheating? And when they talked about what it was about putting tape to the skin, excessive tape on the wrist, because although you may think that you would want to put a lot of tape on your knuckles or put something hard on your knuckles because you would think that that would be the smart thing to do. Well, in fact, it's not. Have you ever punched anybody in the face with rings on? What happens? The ring cuts your hands. Your hands get all messed up. And I'm not sure if he got the worst of it because you could probably break your hands with those rings. So anything hard you put on your hands, you might hit the guy, but that's going to slap back to your knuckles. You're going to do damage to your hand. So in some instance, the best thing to do is to protect the wrist from flapping back so that your punch stays straight. It's not necessarily a loaded hand wrap by excessive padding like that. You ever want to know a man that punched excessively hard and after all his fights, watch him take off his gloves in the middle of the ring, he had no padded, no hand wraps. I mean, it might have went over 6 times. It was like this thin. You know, today they take off the glove. There's a mountain. It's like this big, right? And then they got the 3 lines going down over it. They look like pillows. They're like this big. There's a champion that when he takes off his hand wraps, bro, it was almost like paper. Iron Mike Tyson. After this video, go watch his highlight. Go to the end of the fight. Any fight where you see him take off his glove. Mike Tyson starts talking to the guy, like the reporter. Look at his hand wrap and tell me his hand wrap was anywhere near like these dudes today, where it's like this big. Mike was going in there like just straight punching you. Yo, he was a beast, bro. And these guys got to wrap their hands like that because they hit hard and they don't want to break their hand. It seemed like Mike was all knuckle, bro. He didn't care. He was a gladiator, bro. Straight gladiator, you know? And so what that does in Japan is you're allowed to put tape on wrist in Japan. So what Stephen Kubo Fulton's coach was accusing him of was playing by the book in actuality. That's why a lot of Japanese reporters, and they were like, what the hell's going on? What is he talking about? Those are the rules out here. Those same rules apply in Las Vegas. You could put tape on skin. But if you was to box in New York City, that's against the law. If you was to box in California like that, that's against the law. You cannot put tape on skin. You got to put gauze first, then the tape. Yeah. If they catch you over there putting tape to skin first, you're disqualified. But in Japan, it's the rule. You can do it. In Las Vegas, it's the rule. You can do it. You know who made that famous in Las Vegas? Floyd Mayweather. He wanted to put tape on skin for that his wrists would stop snapping back. It wasn't his knuckles, it was his wrists, so that he could hit. And so what you do is you put like an excessive amount of tape right here, and it makes like a cast-like substance. And yo, with enough tape and enough gauze, yo, your wrist won't even bend. You can go. That shit don't even move. It's like dropping a hammer. Boom. You really getting everything out of your punch. Those are the pros for you. But it's not like anyone's at a disadvantage because anything you can do, he can do. So isn't it fair if both guys get to do it? So it's not like you're looking at it like, oh shit, he can do that. Well, you can do it too. These are the rules. Make yourself something like this and come knock me out. Right? So anyway, at the end of the day, he disrespected, try those tactics. And that's what I was talking about. Different opponents and different coaches trying different ways to intimidate Naoya Inoue and his team and to like shake him up and rattle him. Naoya Inoue just said, how would you like me to rap him? He was in his legal right to go tell them to go fuck themselves. I'm going to do it by the rules of our country. And there was nothing Stephen Kubo Fulton could have did but backed out of all the millions and all the people in attendance that already bought tickets. What do you think that would have did for his career? So at the end of the day, Naoya Inoue, all he had to say was, nope, I'm going by the rules. He would have had to put tape on skin, and he probably would have got knocked out like that too. But Naoya Inoue, the competitor that he is, you know what he says? Show me the way you would like me to wrap my hands. They stood there, watched him wrap his hands. They signed off on them. They said, that is perfect. That is exactly the way we want you to wrap your hands. He went out there and destroyed Stephen Kubo Fulton for disrespecting him and calling their national hero a cheater. What a disrespect. What? Don't you have any honor? You Americans, right? Yo, I can imagine what they were saying to him. Hey, yo, and Stephen Kubo Fulton wasn't down with this. Let me tell you right now. This was his coach's doing. Yo, Steven was in the chair, looked like he was cringing. He was like, ah! Yo, that ass whooping he got, he can thank his coach for that. He could thank his coach for that. And many times I've seen people try different tactics to try to rattle Naoya Inoue, and they don't understand. They're not, well, they probably going to understand now, right? He's a real fighter. Behind that smile and that little soft demeanor, there's a killer behind there. He was never scared of you from the moment he walked in the room. All he was doing was containing himself, the monster within. And on the night that he signs a fight and he gets to enter the ring, on those special nights, he allows the monster to come out and play. That's when Naoya Inoue is at home. He is at peace with the battles in the ring. The feeling of putting a man flat on their back in front of everyone, knowing that that man claimed to be one of the best fighters in the world. Naoya Inoue is not fighting in some rinky-dink bar or in some alley. He's fighting on the very world stage at the most prestigious levels. And this is what he's doing. Naoya Inoue truly, truly is becoming your fighter's favorite fighter. And I really think that Naoya Inoue is probably the most complete fighter we have today. A lot of these fighters I've noticed, are trying really hard to secure a fight with him down in the lower weight division. He is the Tank Davis, the Saul Canelo Alvarez, the Usyk, the Tyson, you know what I'm saying? The Terrence Crawford of that division. And when most of those fights, big fights, where are they taking place? In Japan. Japan right now is leading the way for the bantamweight, flyweight divisions. If you want to make any money, fight in Japan. That's the closest you're going to get to Riyadh season. When these guys are not even making close to $1 million for any of their fights. Now the things that Naoya Inoue is doing, the eyes that he's bringing to these divisions, people are also starting to notice other fighters. Junto Nakatoni, Bam Rodriguez, to mention a few. And that is due in part to the success that Naoya Inoue is having. Even today there was a press conference in MJ Akhmadalev's fight. He's fighting Espinoza, and no matter what, that's MJ's fight. Whose name gets brought up in the fight? They talked more about Naoya Inoue than they did at Akhmadalev in that fight, in that press conference. Yeah, they did. Because Naoya Inoue is the fighter to fight. He's the fighter that everyone wants to fight right now. And no one wants to fight, ironically. It works both ways. And both ways you can be like, yeah. Right? There's like no wrong answer there. Because there are men that want to fight him, and there are men that just don't want to fight him. But look, best case scenario. Real talk. Best case scenario. TJ Dohaney goes out there and knocks out or beats a split decision, majority decision, unanimous decision, whatever decision, right? Beats Nick Ball. What do you think Naoya Inoue is going to do? What do you think he's going to do? Do you think he's going to play it safe? Nah, I'm not ready to go up to 126. Shit. But now you got to get TJ Dohaney to say yes. And the way you're going to do that, you're going to entice him with a lot of money. A lot of money. And the one thing about Naoya Inoue, he doesn't mind splitting the bag. Well, the live gate. He'll split the live gate, or the like let's say the the budget would be, I don't know, $12 million, right? They're gonna offer Naoya anyway $6.7 million, right? That's basically what he made his last fight, right? Okay. They're gonna offer TJ Dohaney 3. There's 9. The rest of it goes into the budget for everything else. The rest of the 12 goes into putting the venue together, um, all the expenses, the hotels, the flights, some promotional. Sometimes the promotional got to go in their pocket. They go sometime a little bit past the budget, and depending on what kind of fight and what kind of money they see coming in, and they pay close attention to ticket sales. Sometimes, very, very rare. It's very, very rare that they ever booked the fight and they had to relocate because there was so many people wanting to buy the fight that they decided, let's move the fight to over here. It's very rare when that happens, but it has happened. I haven't seen it happen of late. I've actually seen a fight go down. Like, remember when Jake Paul put that fight together against Homeboy and he backed out of the fight and he had rented out Madison Square Garden. Then all of a sudden it went from the Garden to the Barclays Center or some shit like that, or to the other one. Like, I've seen fights go down, but it's very rare when it goes up. And when like shit like that happens, and Naoya Inoue is the type of man that can do that, so definitely 100%. Shit, things would change for me, I guess, in Naoya Inoue's schedule. You think about, okay, there was the rumor that, yes, and I acknowledge this, that he was supposed to, I guess, after this fight David Picasso, right? Which he's the WBC #1 ranked opponent. And I believe those are just threats from Top Rank. Same kind of threats when they said that Sandor Martin, right? And then they announced even the winner out of that fight to fight the Russell, right? The Russell brother, right? So like they try to put like a lot of pressure on Devin Haney. So we've seen where things were announced to take a jab at another person, to let them know, hey, we're even thinking ahead of time to skipping by you, MJ, and we're already announcing that we're getting the #1 WBC contender a shot at these belts, and that's just a jab. The WBA is going to have a legit claim to try to secure a fight with Naoya Inoue with MJ. But now if TJ Dohaney upsets the cart, pulls the victory, Naoya Inoue says, fuck 122. I'm going to 126. Yeah. And then, right, Nick Ball, his whole thing is that he's powerful, right? Let me read some of y'all messages. Ball versus Shakur Shushu. Yeah, would be a good one, Mark. That would be a good one. Fuck. Jose, why didn't you tell me? No, the game already started, bro. Damn it. Oh, running backs locked out. All right. Anyway, I didn't care about the season. I was out. So, yeah, what's up? Yo, listen, MJ better win. MJ better win with all that bark. I'm going to tell you that right now. All right? With all this, what if Espinoza spoils the night? You got Ed Hearn calling Naoya Inoue a duck. It is what it is. He's a duck. He's a duck. But and then in the same breath, he says, I wouldn't expect Naoya Inoue to pick him as a voluntary. What you mean a voluntary? If he's a voluntary, then how could he be a duck? He would have to voluntarily say to fight him. You know, and then he tries to sneak in the word mandatory once he can already officially in the same video said, yeah, I said mandatory. I meant voluntary. And I meant that the WBA ordered it because you saw in the video I said that first. That's just promotional fucking snake, slick talk. So that he can also say that. So he made sure that he said some of the truth first before he went into his stretching of the truth for what? Promoting your fighter, MJ? Really? Just because Ed Hearn says it makes it so? Yeah, we talked about this. Yeah, he's the WBA #1 rank. When you have all 4 belts, there's a waiting list. And whoever organization is lying, WBC, WBO, IBF, whoever's first, their #1 guy is first. He was WBA. He was last. So it's like having a dead WBA ranking until he honors the ones that's before him. And guess what? Sam Goodman has 2 of those rankings. So either way, he was next man in line. They laughed him out of court, MJ, when he was like, I'm going to threaten to sue you because I'm the #1. They was like, bro, you know there's a waiting list. Yeah, but Sam Goodman pulled out and entered TJ Dohaney. Doesn't he lose his position? They went and looked at it and went, yeah, okay. He gave up his in-line ranking for the WBO, but the IBF is next in line, and Sam Goodman is the #1 there. So he's next again. Case dismissed. Who got the fight? Sam Goodman. Who's on the sideline? MJ. If it was true what he was saying, wouldn't the courts rule in his favor? You know what? Gosh darn it, you're telling the damn truth. The WBA needs to acknowledge, Naoya Inoue, you're ducking him. I'm mandatorying you to fight him right now. You cannot fight Sam Goodman. He would have been fighting him. Right? Who's Naoya Inoue fighting? Sam Goodman. Who's MJ fighting? Espinoza. Why are they cool with it? Why do they keep bringing him Naoya Inoue's name? Because they couldn't weasel their way in. Because they didn't have, their ranking wasn't up next. And now that they pissed off Uncle Bob, sending him offers to Naoya Inoue. You don't send Naoya Inoue an offer, he sends you one. Yo, them dudes were cocky, man. MJ, then he wanted to start calling where the fight, how big the ring was, how much this guy was getting paid. He wanted shares on the TV. Yo, he was actually for a lot. MJ's guy. Yo, Bob Arum was like, he was done. He was like, man, who the fuck you think you are? I'm Bob Arum. Do you know who the fuck I am? Like, I get it, bro. You're a boxing promoter too, but I got to admit, and I said this the other night, I've never, ever in my life ever hear anything about a Naoya Inoue fight having that much problems to be put together. That's the first time I've ever seen in Naoya Inoue career that one fighter gave him this much problems. That's it. Anyone else that ever wanted to fight with, they got the fights done like this. This is legitimately the first little back and forth scandal between a promoter and a fighter in Naoya Inoue. Everybody else that said, hey, I want to fight you, got in the ring and got knocked out. Right? And people like Casamera and Marlon Tapales is starting to fit right in Casamero's situation. Where that they're not winning the big fights, but they're yelling from way back here, hey, I want to fight you. You just want a payday, a free ride to the top, and you want to be able to say that you shared the ring with me, and you're going to get a lot of eyes. Shit, Tank Davis knocks dudes out and makes them famous. So why would he fight these guys? They don't have anything he wants. At this point, he's just fighting to add to his legacy. To be honest with you, everybody else is just an opponent. He's the champion. There is no other champions. There's only one king in his division, and it's him. You guys are just contenders. So no matter what you say, no matter who you, I don't want to see him fighting this guy. Well, then who do you want to see him fight? And don't say no Fantasy Island shit. If he's not in the 126 yet, you can't bring up the 126. How the hell are you going to hold him on a division he's not even in? If he's not there, he's not there. So you would have to give me somebody from 126, from 122. That's being fair. That's where he's the champion. That's where his competition is. Well, then give me somebody better than Sam Goodman. What are you going to say? MJ? 12-1-9 record. Sam Goodman at least is an undefeated fighter. He's ranked for 2 of the sanctioning bodies. He's proven his way. He's honoring the fight. We're getting the fight December 24th. Yeah, I want to see this fight. Yeah, Sam Goodman is a worthy opponent. Sam Goodman deserves this fight. Sam Goodman is an undefeated fighter. He's a cocky little motherfucker, and he thinks he's going to come in and shock the world for Australia and bring Australia back 4 belts. Sam Goodman goes in there on that night in Japan and shocks the world. Guess what? I guarantee you there'll be a rematch, ching ching, and you could basically stamp his name in the Hall of Fame. No matter what you say, at the end of the day, if Naoya Inoue signs that contract, you were in agreement to put up those 4 belts. After he beats you, you want to say, oh, he's not a prestigious champion because he only beat one guy for 4 belts. Well, guess what? You gave me the opportunity, and I pulled it off. At the end of the day, can you really say anything? Nope. It was the same situation they gave Jamel Charlo. Yo, that offer was so outlandish that Saul knew he was going to win that fight so much that when you go back and look at what was at stake, you couldn't believe Saul Canelo Alvarez took that fight. Because in order for Saul Canelo Alvarez to take that fight against Jamel Charlo, he would have to have known going into the fight, Jamel Charlo, I'm giving you a shot at all 4 of my belts. Win, lose, or draw, you keep all 4 of your belts. You stand to win 8 belts. The only thing I stand to win on that night is to have a title defense for my belts. Jamel Charlo, you will legitimately go to Hall of Fame if you pull that off. There has been no man in boxing history to ever obtain simultaneously 8 belts. He would have had all the belts at the lower division and had all the belts at Saul's division at 168, right? Simultaneously. Now, let's say he pulls that off and fluke accident knocks out Saul Canelo Alvarez. Could Jamel Charlo legitimately grab the microphone and say, I'm the greatest fighter that ever lived. I'm better than Floyd, Muhammad Ali, Ray Robinson. I'm better than any fighter you named. He goes to the Hall of Fame table and pushes Muhammad Ali's table out the way. Excuse me, I'm the greatest champion to ever live. Could anybody argue his point? But was he the greatest fighter that ever lived? Hell no. Hell no. But if he would have won those 8 belts, what could anybody say to him? It was so outlandish, the what they put in front of that man, but that's how impossible it was to do. Saul would have had to agree to all that shit. He stood not to win nothing. It was all on Jamel Charlo, bro. And you know when they say sometimes things are too good to be true? That was a perfect example. He had no chance of winning that fight. Not even the guys that calculate shit. You ever see in the NFL where you see those TV shows where they say this guy had a 3 point whatever percent of completing this pass. Two guys were diving in between. The ball went right through him and got his receiver. It was like and the guys do the math. Well, there's guys that do the math on the probability of Jamel Charlo winning that fight. Man, they turned that pad around. That shit said a -0.03 million. He had like no chance in the world of winning that fight. He didn't even have a puncher's chance. It was just so sometimes they do that to these fighters. They offer them big fights. They have no chance of winning. It's just for the other guy to either avoid from fighting someone he should have been fighting or to try to put on a show to, for building a bigger another fight. You put him in against this guy, he knocks that guy. It even boosts up the big fight you want. But it seemed like Saul was getting in with this Luck-Laster fight and then getting on another one, then getting to another guy we really didn't want to see, then and so forth and so forth. It wasn't like, he took that and ran with it. And as a matter of fact, after the fight, when everybody saw what Jamel Charlo looked firsthand, which a lot of us was trying to tell the world, but y'all weren't listening to us. Y'all were like, yeah, he's got a chance. He's got a punch. Look how good he is. And we were like, yo, fighting doesn't work that way. You ever even the holidays when they come around, Thanksgiving, um, um, Christmas or whatever, and you pack on 5 pounds, 8 pounds. Do you feel heavier? Could you notice it? And when you pack on only 5, 6, 8 pounds, if you happen to work out or, you know, do anything, doesn't things feel lighter to you? Don't you feel stronger? But at the same time, you're seeing that sometimes you don't put on the weight, the best, but you can notice that shit. You get on the scale and it's only 6 pounds. That's how much of a difference 6 pounds can be to a fighter, a person that's trained to throw their punches and to put everything behind their punches. 2, 3 pounds can be dangerous, can be very, very dangerous. Sometimes we see these fights where a little guy's fighting a big guy in a street fight, he knocks him out. Yeah, that's cool. That's cool. You caught him. You got a good punch and you hit a guy like that. But what happens when you get that same big guy that knows how to fight and is very skilled? He's going to hurt him. Now it's not a fair fight. Now you're like, oh no, stop the fight. But the little guy that knocks out the big guy, you're like, yeah, that was great. Man, protect that big dude. He can't fight from that little monster. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Just because he's little, he's a much better fighter. He's going to beat up baby Huey. You know what I mean? Right? So some of these guys cut weight and they're considered weight bullies and shit for a reason. And it was pretty impressive to watch Keyshawn Davis come in there against Lemos, and he came in 6 pounds overweight. The other way Keyshawn just stepped back, cocked back, boop, dropped him. I was like, shit, right? And speaking of these young guys, right? I guess Albright wants to knock out Abdullah Mason. Abdullah Mason got a fight scheduled right now, right? Who is it? What was it? What was it they were saying? Um, what the hell was it? Um, Jamie Warren's, right? I think he wanted to fight him, and then all of a sudden, like Albright, came out of nowhere, and they started throwing around their names. I also read that William Cepeda's 6 to 8 weeks out with a hand injury. I just can't with this guy no more. I just can't with this guy, and just William Cepeda, bro. I'm really starting to question William Cepeda, man, and I don't like the look. I don't like the way he's making me feel and second guess him. I consider William Cepeda a very good fighter. I love to watch his fights. He's always explosive. He always in there fighting, mixing it up. And yeah, yeah, definitely. But now it just seems like a repeated pattern. Every single time he gets up there to just about to fight the champion, it just seems like there's always something. And he's just not fighting these champions. And I'm really starting to question why. Why are you not fighting these guys, William? What's really going on? And as we all know, they do the best steroid testings in a championship fight. Leading up into that, sometimes you can get out away from that. And a lot of these guys get used to fighting like that and they don't want to get off of it. And it's risky going into that championship fight if you're not completely clean because they're going to find it in your system. And I keep thinking that, I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to say that. I don't have no right to say that. That is, let me notify the public that is 100% out of my fucking mouth. That's coming straight out of the side of my neck. And I'm 100 transparent with that. I have no proof of this, but I don't feel right anymore like I once saw him. It's just too many times consistently, situation after situation after situation after situation that I got to admit. Like I'm sitting here saying to myself, damn, how many excuses have I heard from William Cepeda from fighting all the top guys? You name it. He fights everybody else for those bullshit little belts and everybody at the lower division, but he just doesn't fight him. I don't know what to say anymore. So I don't know. I want to see what his next move, and I find myself saying that over and over again with William Cepeda, man. I really do. I don't know what to say anymore. And then there's talks with Errol Spence Jr. trying to make a return with Fundora. What do you guys think about that? I wish Errol Spence Jr. would just call it quits. He has nothing to be ashamed of. He was one of the longest reigning welterweight champions of the world. Um, he only lost one fight. At this point, you only lost one fight. Hang it up. They say anything about that fight with Terrence Crawford, be like, okay. But I was good enough to beat 99% of everybody else. I only lost to one guy. Yeah, I lost bad. But you know what? I got 3 belts and no one else beat me in my reign. So if I was Errol Spence Jr., I would really think about maybe calling it quits. Just walking away from the game. I think he's been away from the game for too long. He doesn't have enough fights in between. What's he have? One fight in 6 years or something? It's ridiculous now at this point. I don't even know what the numbers is anymore. It's just I think it's time. I think it's really time for him. I'm not sure what he's going through. Shit, he could be in there training every day and he could have really suffered a lot of big injuries from those car crashes that maybe he's trying to put it together. I have no idea, but if he's really back into the sport and this whole time he's really been training, I would welcome a return for Errol Spence Jr. I got nothing against a fighter coming back, but at least still having the passion. Don't do it for money. Don't do it because you think you have to, because that was the last image you had of yourself in the ring. Don't do it for those reasons. If you still got that fire inside of you and you still really want to fight, and when you ask yourself at night before you put your head on that pillow, what am I doing this for? I would hope the answer would be to become world champion once again. Because getting in there and just saying I'll be satisfied with winning just another fight, your heart's not into it. It's either all or nothing. Don't hurt your career on a hunch. Don't take a gamble on just wanting to end on a good note and a win. You're taking a gamble of fucking up your career. If you lose, now that's 2 losses. Just yesterday, you had 1 loss. Errol Spence Jr., I believe he'll get inducted to the Hall of Fame for what he did. He just might. So, who they just induct the other day? Unfortunately, the fighter passed away. He was dead, and then they elected him into the Hall of Fame. He didn't get to see his star in the Hall of Fame, which is sad. Um, it's like being a Picasso or Rembrandt or a Raphael, a painter, and never seeing your paintings be worth billions and billions of dollars, dying broke, not knowing that you're probably one of the most famous painters of like all time. But while he was alive, he never experienced that. That sucked. You get elected into the Hall of Fame, but you already passed away. You never got to see your day. You never got to put on your jacket, so to speak. And yeah, you know, um, I'm happy for the men that get to see their name going to live on in immortality. You make it to the Hall of Fame, baby. That shit's gonna be up as long as the Hall of Fame is up, man. There's really no higher honor, to be talked about the men and women in your sport, whatever it may be, football, baseball, golf, shit, tennis, swimming, whatever it may be, as long as the best of the men and women that did it, that at least you're in the room with them. Now, if you were good enough to put yourself in certain conversations, now that depends on you and how you performed in your craft. But it truly must be an honor to be talked about among the elites of the elites. And when it's all said and done, that's got to be amazing. You grow up idolizing some of these men and women, and then one day you surpass them. Mayweather grew up idolizing Hernandez at the 130-pound weight division until he fought him and beat Hernandez for his first 130-pound championship. From there on in, Mayweather fought basically his whole career for championships. He had a couple tune-up fights in between that weren't for belts, which breaks up his title run. But when he did, he never lost any fight. So you know how his career ended. We don't have to say anything else. So yeah, man. Absolutely. So, you know, some of the things we talk about boxing, yo, you back. Yeah, keep it coming. Yeah, thank you, brother. Yeah, I had to make it back. Took the daughter out. We went eat, had an amazing time in the restaurant. They sang her happy birthday. Shit, everybody in the restaurant got up, started singing with us. Yo, it was a real cool moment. Um, and she had a great time. My little girl, where's the time going? She's all of 11 now, you know. Oh my God. She walks in the house saying Sigma, whatever, this, that, the lingo of these kids. Oh my God, I'm turning into my dad. Shit. Right, right, right. I would hope I'm a good dad, a cool dad. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? We had a great time. I got home early. I wanted to get on. I told you guys, hopefully, I would. Sometimes things go right, sometimes they don't, but you know how it is. But for the love of the sport, I will come on and always love to talk it up with you guys. So I'm about to end this, but before I do, I'm going to drop the link. And if anybody wants to join and come on and talk about anything, I'll stay on for a little bit longer, you know. And we can talk about anything because I did say I was gonna put it up and share. If anybody wants to come in, let me drop it. It's just a restream, just like a StreamYard. Just accept the link, the app, or whatever, and that's it. It's real simple to do. You know, if you want, just turn on your camera for me in the lobby where no one else sees you. And if you want to come on and turn it off or keep it on, that's up to you. And we can talk boxing however you want to do it. It's cool with me, you know. So what's up? Salute, baby. Jonathan in the building, you know. And yeah. So a lot of these fights right now, you know, like December 14th, MJ, he goes first. You know, I want to see how he does, of course, against Espinoza. Jaime Munguia is also fighting. So I want to see these fights. We're going to tune in. We're going to check out these fights right here. And we're going to break down MJ's performance. You know, for all this fucking shit talk that he's doing and all this fake ass pressure that his promoter, Ed Hearn, is trying to put on Naoya anyway. But Naoya Inoue knows who he is as a fighter. He knows exactly who he is as a fighter, right? He doesn't really hear them. You know what I'm saying? He knows what they saying, but Naoya Inoue, he knows. And you know what? I gotta admit, you know, Naoya Inoue, for as much as a fan pleasing type fighter that he does care about what the fans think about him. And he wants to let the fans know that, you know, he will fight these kind of fights. And, you know, then, right, I also want to acknowledge one thing. When Naoya Inoue said the 2 years, I kind of figured that the 2 years he was talking about started from the Paul Butler fight. And then a lot of my friends right here on Round One Sports Talk, my subscribers kept telling me, I think it's from the 2 years from when he was talking when he came into the 122-pound weight division, Edwin. And I was like, nah, I don't think so. Because you know, when they break down these things in Japan, just like I'm Puerto Rican, right? And when I took when I speak Spanish, when I'm at what I'm actually saying in Latin, right? It's actually backwards in American. When you break it down, in order to break it down for you, I gotta break it down backwards in my head and then it translated to you in English. Because if I said it the actual way, you would look at me like, huh? Because it's actually being translated backwards. But when we say it in our language, it makes perfect sense. It means exactly what you're saying in English. But the word sequence, it's legitimately backwards. It's like saying, open the door, right? Or something, right? And we'll say, abre la puerta. The door is at the end. In the American, the door is in the beginning. The first thing you know what I'm saying? Like that or whatever. And, you know, it's just weird. So when I knew that when they were explaining the Japanese, the 2 years, sometimes things can get lost in translation. So I try my best to try to decipher, you know, when it's being broken down. Because sometimes when it's like car, cat, whatever, you know he didn't say that. But the caption is saying it. So you kind of got to figure it out. So I was thinking that the 2 years was from them and starting to look like, no, I guess you guys were right. The 2 years might have been when he entered the division with Stephen Kubo Fulton, I guess. I'm not sure. Because from the 2 years with Paul Butler, yeah, we've passed that. We've already passed that, I think. That would have been a lot longer. Paul Butler's fight was at the end December of 2022. We're exiting going into 2025. So we would have been past the 2 years of the Paul Butler, what I would have thought would have been the number. That's why I'm thinking that maybe I was wrong in that regards, and you guys were right about it being when it was Stephen Kubo Fulton. So I'm not sure. So if that's what I'm trying to. I'm just trying to figure out where the 2 years he really meant, and if anybody actually knows where it was, so I can roughly get a measuring stick on when I think he's going to do his move. Because Naoya, anyways, is one thing. He's a man of his word. Every time he said, "No, I'm gonna do this," he went and did it. Didn't he? He said, "No, I'm gonna stay here. I'm gonna do this." He did it. He was at the 115. He had to defend it 7 times to gain the weight gradually to make the jump. He fought 7 times. Right now, he's coming on his 5th fight. The fight in Vegas that he's saying coming to America, that would have been his 6th fight. Then I believe he probably would make the transition to 122. That would have been in a 2-year span. You would need to count one more fight. Then he would move to 126, just like he indicated. But and then it would have gave me a, you know, where do I start counting? That's all I was a little confused on. And maybe I'm not even sure that I'm wrong. Not even sure that I'm wrong. I'm just more inclined to say I'm wrong because my 2 years has already passed. So I had to be wrong. That's why I'm saying, it had to be from somewhere. So, I still don't definitively know the answer to that question. I don't. If anybody else out there know, please feel free and share it with me. I would like to know that too as well. Yeah. And then also, some of the top fighters in the sport right now, Tyson Fury is going to be coming off and Usyk December 24th. I mean, 1st. We're going to watch that fight. Who do you got in that fight? I'm being won over by Usyk fight by fight. Kind of was turned off in the Dubois fight. I thought that punch was good. I think Dubois should have been champion then, but it is what it is. The thing is, I gotta admit, Usyk can fight, and he's beating these guys. You heard that statement that Lennox Lewis came out and said that he believes Tyson Fury was playing possum and hurt in the fight against Usyk, and he was trying to lure Usyk in for a big shot. Not sure about that. I think he was legitimately hurt. That's what it looked like to me. If he was playing possum like that, he should stop boxing and go into acting. Because that's an Academy Award performance. Right? He should just stop boxing, bro. You're missing your call. All right? If that was a fucking acting, yeah, right. He was hurt. I'm starting to think Usyk outbox him again. Same thing that's happened to AJ, it's gonna happen to Tyson Fury. I might be starting to think that maybe all those drugs, alcohol might start catching up on Tyson Fury. I think all those late nights, maybe your body's not responding like it used to. And maybe you're getting a little bit older too as well. I always notice those freakishly tall men don't seem to age as well. By the time they're like 50, 60 years old, those guys are like, they're like slump walking like this and shit. A lot of those big giant dudes, right? They don't age that well. Shaquille O'Neal happens to be one of the rarest kind of big men I ever seen in my life. Yo, he seems to be aging pretty well throughout his years, Shaquille O'Neal. I gotta admit, but Yao Ming and those kind of guys, those kind of big guys, they don't. You don't even see them in public after a while. And they're young. They're young as hell. Some of those guys ain't older than me. Hell no. And yeah, those big dudes, they don't age that well. So, sometimes um, Tyson Fury can age quickly overnight. And it might be one of those cases where that we see that Tyson Fury, Father Time, probably caught up to his ass. And if that's the case, Usyk is fighting on all cylinders right now. He doesn't look like he's slowing down. He looks like, uh, he's already stepped in the ring with Tyson Fury, and it's one thing about fighting a guy for the first time, but it's also fighting a guy in round 13. You guys are just kicking off where you left off from the fight. You guys are familiar with one another. And there were probably things in that fight that Usyk said, yo, I should have did this. I could have did that. I let this get away. And in this fight, he could be capitalizing early. Sometimes, that could be, it could play, it could backfire on the opponent, but not in Usyk's situation. He's too battle tested to get played like that. He's too battle tested. He's been in too many big fights, world championship fights. He's had all 4 belts at cruiserweight and heavyweight. He ain't going for no okey doke. Anthony Joshua tried to bait him and coming in all night in that second fight. He didn't go for it. Usyk's kind of fighter that he stays the course and he's gonna fight his fight. You know, um, I think he's just gonna box Tyson Fury. Um, an upset for me would be that he stops Usyk. Tyson Fury has punching power. He does have the punching power to get Usyk's attention. And if he hits him with the right shots, he can stop Usyk. Yes, he can. Yes, he can. I need to remind you that we are in a fight. Anything can happen in a fight. And Tyson Fury, the Gypsy King, is the type of man that is not accustomed to losing any fight in his life. He's not the type of man that ever got used to being the one that was losing in the fight. No, he's not. And who knows what kind of, you know, what kind of life Tyson Fury was living leading up into the fight, whether or not he looks better in this fight. All these questions, we're going to get answers to on the night they shall meet. So, yeah, I can't wait to see that fight right there. That's going to be a big fight. There's a lot of fights on the undercard. Not so great fights, but hey, they're there. You know what I'm saying? But Riyadh season, Turkey Al Sheet was presented with an award, and he's going to be kicking off a few Riyadh season fight cards that I can't wait. There was some other major announcements about other cards going to start because, with the WBC implementing this tournament for all these 4 weight divisions, they're looking for young top prospects to start to be the next superstar and that the organizations can get behind these kind of fighters. Since it's the WBC putting up this right here at the end, of course, they're going to fight for their WBC youth championship of the world belts but it's really good for the fighters and their morale. It lets them know they've reached a place in their career and that they're ready to go to the next level. If you can get out of this tournament and win this kind of tournament and be the last man standing in your respected division, which there's going to be one man standing for every division, there'll be 4 men. Right? Okay. So that can catapult your career in the right direction, and potentially in a title fight. Shall you say, yeah, I'm ready for it? So yeah, absolutely. So yeah, fight fans, man. Listen, guys. I can't wait for a lot of these fights right here. I can't wait for December 24th, man. But as much as I can't wait for the fight, I gotta finish my Christmas shopping, okay? Because I'm gonna be that guy inside that freaking mall, December 24th, running around like a chicken with my head cut off, trying to buy everything that's sold out, right? And I'm telling you right now, Grandma, if you get in my way, you will catch an Espinosa elbow. I'm not playing around. You reach in my cart this year. Listen, I've been training, okay? You know what I mean? Listen, I got this move right now. Listen, like, like this. Right? Grandma, you're going down. Listen, I got to get this shopping done. All right. And these days are going by and they're sneaking up on me. So I really got it because my daughter's birthday is December 12th, which is today. And, so we were getting her birthday together, all the cake and then the gifts and stuff like that. So all her friends, whatever. And like, so we had to prepare that. So it's like, and now we're like moving on to Christmas. And I kind of tell my girl she overdid it on the birthday gifts because we done gave her some of the Christmas gifts on the birthday type thing. Because later on in life, yeah, she thinks she got it all good right now, but when she finds out when you're born on Christmas, you get beat. You get one gift for both your birthday and Christmas. You guys know how it goes. She gonna get robbed, bro, right? So she better live it up right now. Yo, listen, I gotta get these gifts out the way, fam. So listen, thank you for tuning in. Always love talking boxing with you guys. Let me know what you think. Please like the videos, subscribe the videos. If anything, you can like these videos for me, for that my the algorithm picks it up more and pushes it out. So you could do me at least that favor if you love my videos, right? And you like the content that I'm putting out. So fight fans, I'm on to the next one. After this one, have a happy holidays to you and yours. Like I said, don't forget to, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel. And like always, I'm on to the next one after this one here at Round One Sports Talk. Love yourselves out there and take care of your family. One, family first.